Creepiest real school lockdown stories. During school emergencies, it's vital that students and school are prepared to react quickly. Recent emergency situations in schools and on school have caused many schools to re-evaluate their lockdown procedures. A school lockdown is issued when there is a threat to students and school staff and faculty members. Right now, Scary Avery featured 3 creepiest real school lockdown stories. Get yourself ready to face your fear. I was 16 in my junior year of high school. I had 9 periods in my school day. 5 periods was lunch, and straight from there was astronomy class. My astronomy class was actually held in one of the 2 basement classrooms of the school. My high school was big. There were 3 floors, and even that wasn't enough to accommodate all the classes offered. So the school built 2 classrooms in the basement. It was honestly kind of creepy down there when nobody else was around. It used to be a janitorial area. However, it was remodeled to better resemble a typical hallway. The only thing, there were no intercom or loudspeaker down in the basement at that time. For that reason, no classes were held down there. First period for the morning announcement. Everyone refers to this little section of the basement as the chamber, and everyone is always trying to get classes down there just because there was an air conditioner and classes were typically easier. Plus, it has its own bedroom down there. We had a quiz in astronomy that day. Usually, I'm the first one done because I found the class easy. After I finished my quiz, I text my friend who was in the other basement classroom to meet me in the bedroom because I was bored. And he told me okay. I walked out of the classroom and down the small hallway to the bedroom. A few seconds later, the door opened. My friend JJ entered the bathroom. He was joking around for a while until JJ checked his phone and said someone texted him saying the school was going on lockdown. We both looked at each other with the same thought. Neither of our teachers asked us to leave the classrooms. That made us have free range to the school while it was on lockdown. We agreed to sneak upstairs and look around the hallways just for the hell of it. The worst that would happen is that we'll explain how we couldn't hear the announcement in the basement classroom. Upon opening the basement door to the main floor, we were surprised to find all lights had been turned off. So the hallways was pretty much pitch dark, besides the light pouring in from the doors in the lobby. This was legit because usually lights were left on in the hallways during a lockdown. Something was going down, and we didn't even know if we were even comfortable walking around now. JJ stepped out a little further from the hallway, and I followed soon. JJ then looked down the hall and said, "Who's that?" I looked and emerged from the darkness as a man. At first we couldn't tell if it was a teacher or not, but as he got closer, we realized this guy wasn't dressed at all like any staff members. He was dressed like a bum. "Alright, let's go," I told JJ as we hurried back down to the basement. He was truly creepy, whoever he was. We saw both classrooms have their doors shut and lights off. So to avoid making a scene, we decided to hide in the bathroom. I shut the light first, and then we both hid in the corner stall. There was complete silence in the room. No ventilation, no heater, nothing. Just the sound of me and JJ breathing and the occasional drip from the sink. The door to the bathroom suddenly opened, and light from the hallway poured into the bathroom for a brief moment. The door shut, and the bathroom floor once again pitch dark. Me and JJ tried our best to control our breathing. The room was so silent that we could hear somebody walking over to our side of the bathroom. The person stops and is breathing really heavily, as if they're out of breath. Me and JJ were both scared to death. JJ did something very dumb. He whispered to my ear, "We have to crawl out to the other stalls." The room was so silent, however, that even JJ whisper could be heard from across the room. The heavy breathing outside the stall stopped, and the person tries pressing the stall's door in. That's when I whispered, "Go, go," to JJ. We both crawled down the side wall to the next stall over, and then the next stall, and then finally out to the other side of the bathroom. The person was now falling on banging on the stall door. Me and JJ hopped on the floor, opened the door, and had the light fill the room again. We saw the guy from upstairs in the corner. We pounded on the doors to JJ's class. The teacher let us in within seconds. JJ explained everything as the teacher locked the door, then shooting a gun sticking out of the man's pocket. I was shocked to hear this because I didn't see a gun, but I went along with it anyway. Usually a bunch of high school students would be lifting their ass of two students causing a scene like this, but I noticed all the students sitting in the corner, the concerned. A sudden bang at the doors made everyone jump, and a couple of girls squealed out of fear. JJ, the teacher, and I could see the man standing at the door, looking through the window while trying to door out. After a few bangs on the door, what seemed to be anger, he turned and walked on the hallway back to the stairs. We don't know how much longer the lockdown went on for, but for over an hour, we sat with silence in the room, other than the teacher occasionally asking me and JJ questions of the very constant tone shaking his head after everything we would tell him. Eventually, somebody from upstairs called the teacher and instructed all of us to single file walk up the stairs and out of the building. While we would be greeted by cops, me and JJ did the best we could at describing the man to the cops. One of the cops patted me on the back, and we were sent off to go home. After this incident, the school installed the camera everywhere and read out the security budget. This incident never got media attention, so honestly, we never found out if the police caught the guy. I'm convinced that the man got no other intention than to kill us in that bathroom stall. I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently got a job from my old high school as a sort of computer intern in the school basement. The basement of the school is very messy and disorganized, but there is a small 3-person office that was pretty nice down there. It has 3 nice big desks, 2 mini fridges, and a flat screen TV mounted on the wall, and also a satisfying air conditioning. A luxury that student and teacher cannot enjoy in school. And of course, all the school servers and other compulsory stuff. I got the job because 3 of my computer teachers flat out adored me. I can actually consider them as real friends, not just teacher figures. So they all helped me to get this job. It's been great until something happened 2 weeks ago. My 2 coworkers that shared the office with me, Dave and Gary, weren't at the office at the time. They were upstairs working on paper, or whatever. I was eating my sandwich in the office during my lunch break when I got a call from one of the women from the front office telling me the school was on lockdown and that somebody possibly armed had entered the school. There wasn't much that I could do other than turn off the lights because surprisingly, as nice as this little office was, it didn't have an actual door to it. Just a big opening door to the whole basement. And that door didn't have a working lock. For my own safety, I turned off the whole light in the office and my computer screen. I kept my phone on the desk, texting both Gary and Dave, but they wouldn't respond. I sat down there in the dark, playing games on my phone for like 20 minutes waiting for the call from my friends to tell me the resume worked. I don't have any ideas about what is happening. I couldn't hear anything from upstairs, but I wasn't allowed to make any calls until I was informed that the lockdown was over. Then the noisy basement door opened. As the creaking echo crossed the basement and into my office, I sat up from my seat, wondering if I should call out Gary or Dave. I was eager to get some info from them. Someone came running down the stairs, and their footsteps were approaching my office. I pushed away my chair and crawled down under my desk. Somebody entered the office, but didn't turn on the lights. There was just silence. I couldn't even describe the fear I was experiencing. I felt like if I make any sudden noise, I'll be dead. Suddenly, my phone dinged as I got a text message. I felt my entire world tremble up and down at one point as I gnashed my teeth in fear. Footsteps suddenly moved closer to me until I finally dove out from under the desk and begging whoever it was not to kill me. And just then, someone grabbed my arms and pulled me up. It was some guy in a red plaid button-up jeans and a reddish black cap. He told me, "It's okay, I'm just down here hiding with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered. He kind of ignored my question and asked if there's an exit down here. I told him, "Yeah, around that way." Before he could do anything else, I asked him, "Who are you?" There was a brief moment of silence before he started explaining he was coming to pick up his son when the teacher told him to hide. After his explanation, I checked my phone and saw the text I received was from Dave. It said, "Dude, this is fucking crazy. A guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was just about to read that text message out to the man until I realized I looked up until my stomach hurt. The man seems to catch on to my suspicious stare, panicking. All I can think to do is to run upstairs. A gunshot echoed through the basement, and I could hear a bullet shot on something metal in the darkness, but they got the bullet and missed me, and I made it upstairs. Fortunately, police were waiting at all exits, including the basement exit, and called the man the second he opened the door. More good news. Our teacher, Mr. Buckley, survived the gunshot. It was clear that the man and Mr. Buckley had some issues about something that were never revealed. All we know is that Mr. Buckley could have done anything that would have warranted this kind of reaction. And I know that the sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind. I went to a very poor high school and a bad neighborhood. Because of that, we regularly had fire drills and lockdown drills in the case of something happening. During the lockdown, the teachers will turn off the lights and we all hide in the corner of the classroom without saying anything. It was a cold day in the third quarter of the school year. The windows were all shut up, but still, the teacher had to start making sentences because we can all hear some kind of shouting outside. Definitely some kind of commission. My teacher went to the window, looked outside and opened one of the windows. But the yelling seems to stop by the time he did. At the same time, the dean started speaking over the loudspeaker and said we were going into a lockdown. My teacher rushed to shut the door and turn off the lights. And we all did our thing. Went to the corner of the room. Time seems to move slow, as we all are at that corner. Screams started coming from the hallway. Not the scream of the students, but the raged, angry scream from a grown man. Familiar to the scream we briefly heard from outside. Someone dangerous was in the building, clearly. The school I went to didn't have security guards because it was too poor. So literally, in a case like this, we had to wait for the police to arrive. The scream was then accompanied by a bang under a nearby door in another classroom. We can hear the screams of kids in the room next to us. The bang starts, the screaming grew closer, until I was right outside our door, then bangs on our classroom doors. A couple kids screamed and started to cry. The sick man on the other side of the door banged and banged. He started hitting the glass with his elbow, I think. As he screams and sees things that made no sense to us. Some of it being unsick, and it's just stopped already. The sickening sound of a small thin glass window of the door shattering made the reality of the situation even worse. Of course, kids on either side of me were screaming and crying now. Me, I was just sitting there and totally shocked. The man on the other side of the door stuck his arm into the room through the thin window opening and tried down to locking the door. My teacher took that opportunity to grab a pair of scissors and literally stabbed the man's arm. The man cried out in pain, bangs on the door for a far more times, even harder now. Started running down the hall. He's still crying and probably mixed with the pain and anger. The lockdown ended a few minutes after the police arrived. There had to be at least 6 cars parked outside. And yes, the crazy sicko man was arrested and probably brought to a mental hospital. The man apparently wasn't armed, but he clearly came into this school with the intention of hurting people. Kids, most of them. So guys, thank you for watching. If you have any spooky stories, you can send it to us through our email. Your scariest story will be featured in our next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and watch 2 disturbing true uber horror stories after this. See ya!